Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this particular story is very, very troubling on how a West Virginia couple had adopted several black children, thinking that it was under the auspices of doing something good and giving these kids a brand new life and an opportunity at all the riches that America has to offer. But instead, this white West Virginia couple who adopted these black children treated allegedly these kids like slaves, and they have been indicted. What a terrible choice. And look at the hypocrisy and the dichotomy here, where you would think one's intention on adoption would be to give these kids an opportunity to be successful in life. Instead, they reached a diabolical point where they started treating these kids allegedly like slaves and abused them. So let's go. Indictment alleges West Virginia couple used adopted black children as slaves, judge says. A couple arrested after some of their adopted children were found locked in a shed at their West Virginia home are set for trial later this year on charges that a judge said involved their use as slaves. Donald Ray Lance and Jeannie K. Whitefeather faced trial later this year after they were arraigned on 16 counts each, accusing them of civil rights violations, human trafficking, forced labor, gross child neglect, and falsifying an application seeking a public defender. All but one of the counts are felonies. Lance and Whitefeather are white. The four children whose initials are in the indictment are black. The indictment said Lance and Whitefeather forced, threatened, and interfered with the free exercise and enjoyment of any right and privilege of the four children. Kanawha County Assistant Prosecutor Madison Tuck said Wednesday that while she didn't answer questions about specific details, she said, "I would say that because the indictment includes a civil rights violation, that there's definitely a racial element or component to the case." The couple's trial is set for September 9th. They remain held at the South Central Regional Jail. Circuit Judge Mary Claire Akers expressed shock after a grand jury indicted the couple in May, saying at a June 11th arraignment that, "I don't think I've ever seen an indictment like this in all of my time," according to WCHS-TV. Akers said the indictment alleged the children's use as basically slaves. They were used basically as slaves. Authorities began investigating after they received a call to the home last October in Sissonville, near Charleston, from someone expressing concern about the children's welfare. Sheriff's deputies forced their way into a shed next to the home where a teenage boy and girl were locked inside. The children had been deprived of adequate food and hygienic care, and the room had no running water or bathroom facilities, according to the criminal complaint. Inside the main residence, a 9-year-old girl was found alone crying in a loft about 15 feet high with no protection from falling. No adults were present at the home. A fourth child was with Lance when he eventually returned. Deputies were later led to the couple's 6-year-old adopted black daughter, who had been with acquaintances from the couple's church. The couple was arrested and the children were placed under the care of Child Protective Services. Akers ruled the bonds for each of the defendants was insufficient and ordered them to increase the bond from $200,000 to $500,000 cash only. Lance's attorney, Ed Bullman, said at the June 11th hearing that the charges were full of square pegs and very round circles. Whitefeather's brother, Mark Hughes of Chesapeake, Ohio, testified during a bond hearing in October that the home in Sissonville was unfurnished because a family was in the process of moving to a larger home in Beckley, according to WCHS-TV. At the hearing, Whitefeather's attorney, Mark Plants, referred to the shed as a teenage clubhouse, said there was a key inside the shed and that there was just a plain and simple misunderstanding about what was going on here. But in a criminal complaint, Deputy H.K. Burdett said he knocked on the shed's door on October 2nd and that the teenage girl inside indicated she was unable to open it. After deputies forced their way in, the girl said the defendants had brought her food to her and her brother early that morning and that they had been inside the shed for about 12 hours with no contact from the couple. The girl also said she and her brother were not allowed inside the house and were locked in the shed for long periods of time daily. The children were in dirty clothes and smelled of body odor, and the boy was barefoot and had what appeared to be sores on his feet. In the court filing, Kanawha County Assistant Prosecutor Chris Krivonyak said the couple had sold an 80-acre ranch for $725,000 in Tonascat, Washington. Whitefeather's brother posted two $2,000 bonds to secure the defendant's initial jail release 3 days later. In March, the couple sold the Sissonville home for $295,000. Separately, a U.S. magistrate judge ruled in February that Child Protective Services failed to adequately investigate what happened with the children, who were left to suffer at the hands of their adopted parents for months. The judge ordered Child Protective Services to provide information in the case as part of an ongoing class action lawsuit that accuses the state of failing to protect children and fix its overwhelmed foster care system. Man, what do you think, all my listeners? You're talking about a duality and a dichotomy and multiple layers of hypocrisy with this couple, this white couple, whether they were white, black, or blue. It just makes it even worse that you have this white elderly couple that had adopted 4 black children and then commits to abusing them, neglecting them, and allegedly treating them like slaves. And this is an axiom of our social services system, where there are so many kids that need homes. Trying to find and vet the adequate home and family for many of these children is always a risky scenario, and sometimes you or the system may fail in the appropriation of where these children should go to a healthy, positive, well-being family. And this case is just the opposite. This was not a healthy, positive, well-being couple, and their intentions and how they denigrated these 4 children allegedly is just abominable. Yes, Child Protective Services, the system failed these children. This couple failed these children. Of course, them leading into adoption in the first place, their own family failed them. So you have multiple failures that have been bestowed upon these young kids, and they're starting their foot work in life at such a disadvantage. And now you have this PTSD that is going to be instilled in them, the lack of love, and these kids will need all of the psychological, mental, and physical therapy that they could possibly receive to help give them some restoration to a positive and healthy life. Hopefully they can come out of this okay. If these allegations are true about Donald Ray Lance and Jeannie K. Whitefeather, then they should be not only arrested and put in jail, they should be put and placed under the jail. Thankfully, even though it took a lot of time and the way these kids were being treated, our children are our future. They're our present and our future. And trying to build a healthy foundation for them is of utmost importance. We have now in America a system where the educational system is failing many of our urban inner city kids. The legal system, policing, discrimination against people of color needs to stop, and we need to have, when we talk about taking America back, well, let's take it back to a healthy place that does not have, and we need to abolish racism, sexism, human trafficking, assault, gun violence, the opioid crisis. Let's try to remove all of those elements, homelessness, fatherless homes. Let's try to demolish those negative aspects of our society, and let's try to uplift our young people and the citizens of America into a healthy place that is not judged and based upon color, creed, gender, race, sex, or any of those kinds of categories. This is a very sad commentary with this West Virginia couple. If they did treat these 4 young black kids terribly, with neglect, with physical and emotional abuse, then they need to be arrested and not be free, and they need to pay their debt to society for how they treated these young kids. These kids did not and do not deserve this at all. Thankfully, the system finally got around to where they were able to ascertain what was going on and to remove these children from this abominable situation. Tell me what you think. This has been a Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.